You arrive at the gates with a tiny suitcase, a fresh uniform, and the assumption that magic must handle the heavy lifting of castle maintenance. The brochure promised enchanted feasts and floating candles, but it omitted the part where the masonry is aggressively sentient and the staircases blatantly disobey the laws of physics. Standard maintenance relies on blueprints and predictable geometry, but Hogwarts behaves like a bored animal. Hallways stretch out to delay your morning rounds, corridors appear and disappear on a whim, and the cleaning cupboard pretends it no longer exists. You don't learn your way around this building, you simply find routes the castle hasn't betrayed. Then there are the students. Not the legendary heroes from the stories, but hundreds of unsupervised minors armed with portable reality editing sticks. They treat the laws of nature as optional, turning every quiet evening into an investigation of how a corridor ended up full of tropical birds. Incidents here don't stop at gum under desks or stolen snacks. The disciplinary scale climbs into the impossible, moving from simple mischief into a territory where your typical Tuesday involves spontaneous biological transfigurations or a suit of armor wandering into a girl's bathroom. Cleaning up these disruptions is a struggle against physics, because magical messes have ambition. A spilled potion doesn't just sit on the floor. It bubbles, hisses, and develops the motor skills required to dodge your scrubbing brush. A standard mop is a pathetic weapon against this infrastructure. The plumbing in these bathrooms operates on its own hostile logic, where turning on a faucet might produce water, or dispense orange sparks, or thick mud, or hot, singing liquids. The early hope that magic would automate the chores disappears the moment you're forced to wrestle a sentient liquid. Magic doesn't solve maintenance problems. It gives those problems an attitude and a realistic chance of biting you back. Even your private frustrations are monitored by a judgmental, oil-painted CCTV network. Thousands of portraits track your movements, gossiping across the castle about how many times you dropped your keys or which staircase you cursed at. They don't just watch, they provide a running commentary on your performance with the arrogance of people who have been dead for centuries. The ghosts are even more disruptive, floating through your torso while you're carrying hot tea and dropping the ambient temperature until your mop water skins over with ice. They have no concept of office hours, blocking a hallway to explain a medieval tragedy while a ceiling is actively collapsing in the next room. Hogwarts is a patchwork of high-risk zones, where the ratio of safe space to lethal dungeon is precariously thin. Lock checks require approaching warm doors. A monster storage solution with leaves. Fixing a simple wooden fence means kneeling in the mud beside deep claw marks, hoping that whatever did the damage isn't currently watching you from the shadows. Even sanctioned traditions like Quidditch are just airborne negligence from a maintenance perspective. You stand below while iron balls dent the stands and brooms crash into roof beams, knowing that once the cheering stops, you'll be the one digging splinters out of the masonry. The Great Hall feasts are no better. The abundance is beautiful until 500 children leave, and you're left to find where the physics-defying gravy has traveled. Enchanted rolls bounce off the walls, pumpkin juice sticks to every surface, and the debris can span the entire length of the hall in minutes. Any attempt at real security is undermined by the castle's history of secret passages. Hidden stairs, portrait holes, and moving panels ensure that the students always have a way to bypass your locks, appearing in corridors where their presence makes no physical sense. The faculty are perhaps the greatest threat to structural integrity, treating classrooms as weapons testing facilities and leaving behind volatile byproducts. A professor might call a room perfectly safe, while a cage under a cloth is sneezing sparks and the walls are covered in cursed slime. Between the faculty's experiments, the wildlife's incursions, and the castle's own shifting logic, the environment is in a state of constant manufactured devastation. When the inevitable seasonal emergency strikes, your job description becomes dangerously vague. While everyone else runs away from the screaming, you're the one running toward it with a lantern and a rope, improvising a solution to a problem that shouldn't exist in a school. The entire institution survives on a cycle of rebranding. Every lethal disturbance is filed away as a tradition or curiosity, and every cleanup order is handed off with the expectation that the damage will be gone before the first bell rings at dawn. Eventually, you stop fighting the absurdity and start memorizing it. You learn which floorboards sigh and which stairs move before they drop you into the dark. You normalize the smell of burnt stars and the trauma of a building that refuses to stay still. The students see a world of miracles and wonder, but you see the exact place where a first year lied to you about a scorch mark. To them, the castle is magic. To you, the castle is a map of stains, broken hinges, and unpaid hazard pay. There is a brief, isolated beauty to the towers in the moonlight and the hum of a distant ghost in the quiet corridors. But the wonder of a living castle is hard to appreciate when you're the only person who has to clean up after it. The castle always wins. Magic doesn't remove the work. It just makes the work weird. Tomorrow morning, the portraits will wake, the staircases will move, and the rest of the world will call it a magical day. You'll just call it your shift.